All right, get ready to dive deep into infant development. We're tackling those amazing first 2 years of life. You asked for a detailed chapter summary,
Yeah.
and we're here to deliver. It's your crash course in all things,
You
baby.
got it.
From mind-blowing body changes to the fascinating science of their brains.
Right. It really is an amazing transformation. We're talking about going from a completely dependent newborn to,
Yeah.
to a walking, talking toddler
Oh, yeah.
with a personality in just 730 days. And we're going to cover it all.
Wow.
The theories, the research, real-world examples, the whole 9 yards, to help you really get a grasp on this remarkable period of development.
All right, so picture this. You're returning from like a 2-year mission to Mars. You left a helpless newborn behind. And now you're greeted by a little explorer
Right.
who's walking, talking, maybe even throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
That's the kind of rapid development we're talking about here. So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, let's start with the obvious changes, the physical ones. Babies literally triple their weight in the first year alone. They sprout almost a foot taller, and their heads,
Whoa.
they grow significantly, to accommodate that rapidly developing brain.
Triple their weight. That's like going from a 5-pound newborn
Yeah,
to a 15-pound toddler in a year.
right.
No wonder parents are exhausted.
Oh, for sure.
How do doctors even keep track of all that growth?
Well, they use these things called percentiles. Basically, it compares your baby's measurements
Okay.
to other babies the same age. It just helps make sure they're on track.
Got it.
But here's the thing, consistency is key. Even if your baby is consistently on the lower end of the charts,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem.
So a consistently small baby can still be perfectly healthy.
Mhm.
That's good to know.
Mhm.
Now, another big one for new parents, sleep or the lack of it.
Right.
What can you tell us about those sleep patterns, how they evolve?
Well, newborns, champions of sleep, 15 to 17 hours a day.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It's all in these short bursts. That's why it feels like you're constantly soothing and feeding.
Oh, yeah.
As they grow, those sleep stretches do get longer.
Thank goodness.
But sleeping through the night, kind of a relative term,
Right.
especially in those first few months.
Yeah, that whole sleeping through the night thing is a myth,
Yeah, for a while at least.
at least for a while.
Yeah.
But there's also all that debate about co-sleeping. What's the final word on that?
Oh, co-sleeping. This is where culture really comes into play.
Right?
In many cultures, it's totally normal, expected even.
Yeah.
There's a strong emphasis on keeping baby close for bonding, breastfeeding, all that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But in other cultures, not so much. There are concerns about safety and S-sides. Sudden infant death syndrome.
Right, right. So what's the answer?
It really depends on the family and their culture. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
So it's about what works for each family and what aligns with their values. Okay, but let's shift gears now. Talk about the star of the show during this period.
Yeah.
The brain. Mind-boggling to think about how much is happening there.
It is a marvel. Did you know a baby's brain grows faster than any other organ?
Really.
And there's this mechanism called head sparing.
Head sparing.
Yeah, ensures the brain gets priority access to nutrients.
Wow.
Even if overall growth is slow due to illness or teething or whatever.
Okay, head sparing. That sounds like some serious sci-fi stuff.
It's pretty amazing.
So even if baby's going through a rough patch,
Yeah,
that brain is still getting what it needs.
absolutely. It's like the body knows brain development is paramount, so it prioritizes it above all else.
Makes sense.
But how does this growth actually happen, like at the cellular level?
Yeah, I remember learning about neurons and synapses, but
Yeah.
it's all a bit foggy. Remind me.
Okay, picture this. The brain's like a huge network of cities, right?
Okay.
Those cities, those are the neurons, specialized cells that transmit messages.
Got it.
The roads connecting those cities, those are the synapses, formed by dendrites and axons.
Right.
Now, babies are born with tons of neurons,
Okay.
but those connections, those roads,
Yeah.
they need to be built for communication to flow smoothly.
So it's like having all these great cities, but no way to get between them.
Exactly. And in those first 2 years, there's an explosion of synapse formation. Scientists call it transient exuberance.
Transient exuberance.
Yeah. By age 2, a baby's brain has trillions of synapses.
Trillions.
More than they'll ever need.
Wow. But is more always better when it comes to brain development?
Ah, that's where it gets really interesting. The brain actually goes through a pruning process.
Pruning.
It eliminates unused connections to become more efficient. Think of it like a sculptor.
Right.
starting with a giant block of marble and
Means
then
chiseling away.
exactly chiseling away the excess to reveal the masterpiece underneath.
So it's not just growth, it's refinement based on the baby's experiences.
Right. And that's where the ideas of experience expectant and experience dependent development come in.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break those down for me.
All right. Experience expectant experiences, those are the essentials, the things every baby needs
Okay.
for normal brain development. Seeing faces, hearing language, feeling touch,
Right.
all hardwired into our biology. Without them, development can be severely affected.
So those are the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
What about experience-dependent experiences?
Those are the ones that add the unique details
Okay.
to each person's brain based on their environment and culture.
Okay.
So, for example, the exact language a baby hears shapes the development of their language centers.
Right.
It's like we all start with the same basic blueprint, but then our experiences,
Yeah.
they add the personal touches.
Like starting with the same car model, but then
Right.
adding your own customizations to make it unique.
Yeah, exactly.
So providing a stimulating environment tailored to a baby's individual needs is so important. But what about the things that can actually harm the developing brain? What should we be protecting babies from?
Well, unfortunately, there are a number of things that can disrupt healthy brain development,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are preventable.
Right.
Like, we know that excessive stress, especially in the form of neglect or abuse, can flood the brain with cortisol.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
That's the one.
But isn't some stress normal?
Of course, some stress is normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of life. But when babies experience chronic or toxic stress, like prolonged fear, neglect,
Yeah.
that excess cortisol can actually damage the developing brain.
So it's like those stress hormones are wreaking havoc
Yeah,
on those delicate neural connections we talked about.
that's it. And this can lead to problems with emotional regulation,
Yeah.
learning, social interactions later in life.
Pretty scary to think about.
Yeah, it really highlights how important it is to provide a loving, responsive, nurturing environment,
Yeah.
especially in those early vulnerable months.
It's heartbreaking to think about those little brains being bombarded by stress hormones. And I know another major threat is shaken baby syndrome. It's like every parent's nightmare.
Absolutely. Shaking a baby, even for a few seconds, can cause irreversible brain damage.
It's awful.
The forces are just too much for their fragile brains and bodies.
Yeah.
It's devastating and totally preventable.
So the message is clear. Protect those precious little brains. They need all the care we can give them. But let's shift away from the scary stuff for a second.
Okay.
Talk about how babies actually experience the world.
All right.
What's going on with their senses in those early days and months?
Believe it or not, all of a baby's senses are functional at birth,
Really?
but they mature at different rates.
Okay.
Hearing, for example, that's the most developed sense right out of the gate.
Interesting.
They can even recognize their mother's voice from the womb.
So that whole thing about babies being soothed by their mother's voice, it's actually true.
Oh, yeah, it's a powerful connection that starts before birth. Vision, on the other hand,
Yeah.
the least developed at birth.
So it's true what they say. Everything is a bit blurry for newborns.
It is.
So what are they actually seeing in those first few weeks?
Well, their vision is quite limited at first,
Okay.
but it improves really rapidly. Within a few months, they can distinguish colors, track moving objects, and even start to recognize faces. Those early visual experiences, they play a crucial role in wiring the brain for visual perception.
It's amazing. Like their brains are learning to see one blurry image at a time.
It's true. But what about the other senses, like smell, taste, touch?
Yeah, they all working?
They're all hard at work from the beginning. Newborns are super sensitive to smells,
Okay.
especially their mother's scent.
Oh, that makes
It's
sense.
key for that early bonding, and it helps guide them to the food source.
Right.
The breast taste is also well developed. Babies even show preferences for flavors they were exposed to in the womb through amniotic fluid.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So a mother's diet during pregnancy
Mm-hmm.
can actually shape her baby's taste preferences.
It's pretty fascinating. And then there's touch, which is so important for infants.
Yeah.
Provides comfort, reassurance, even pain relief.
Makes sense.
In fact, there was this case study.
Oh.
This hospital significantly reduced morphine use in babies born addicted to opioids
Wow.
by focusing on sensory calming techniques like swaddling, skin-to-skin contact.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a powerful example of touch as a healing force for babies.
It is.
It sounds like those early sensory experiences are shaping their brains in really profound ways.
They are.
It's like they're little scientists, exploring the world through their senses, making discoveries every day.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of exploration,
Yes.
let's move on to movement.
Okay.
Remember that amazing moment when your child took their first steps?
Oh, yeah, I'll never forget it.
It's such a milestone. It's like they suddenly become these independent beings
Right.
ready to take on the world.
Exactly.
But motor development, it actually starts long before those first steps.
Yeah, it does. It all begins with reflexes, right?
You got it. Those involuntary movements babies are born with, like grasping and sucking.
Yeah.
Over time, those reflexes, they become more voluntary, more controlled as babies gain strength and coordination.
Right, like that stepping reflex you see in newborns.
Yeah.
Eventually evolves into walking. So
Exactly.
they're practicing those movements before they're even aware of what they're doing.
That's right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But how does it all unfold? Is there like a pattern to motor development?
There is. It follows two main principles,
Okay.
cephalocaudal and proximodistal.
Cephalocaudal and proximodistal. Okay, so break it down for me.
All right, cephalocaudal basically means head to tail.
Okay.
Think about how babies gain control of their head and neck first, then the upper body,
Yeah,
finally their legs and feet.
makes sense. You need a stable head before you can start cruising around. What about proximodistal?
Proximodistal means near to far or center to periphery. Babies develop control of their core muscles first,
Right.
then their arms and legs, and finally their hands and feet.
So building from the inside out and the top down.
Exactly. Pretty ingenious, huh?
It is. But it's not just biology at play here, right?
Right.
Practice and experience also play a role in how quickly babies achieve those milestones.
Absolutely. Tummy time is a perfect example. Crucial for building neck and back muscles,
Yeah.
needed for sitting up and crawling. And once they start crawling,
Look out.
they're off, exploring, refining those motor skills with every movement.
Now, I know there's a wide range of what's considered normal when it
Yeah.
comes to motor milestones. Some babies are early walkers, others take their sweet time.
That's true. There's a lot of variation, and it's important not to compare babies too much.
Yeah, good point.
Each child develops at their own pace.
Hmm.
But if there's a significant delay,
Yeah.
or you have concerns, always good to check with your pediatrician.
Right.
They can assess and recommend anything necessary.
So we celebrate every baby's unique journey,
Absolutely.
but also keep an eye out for any red flags.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the things that help babies not just survive,
Yeah.
but thrive.
Okay.
Big public health topics like SID, immunization, and nutrition.
These are crucial areas. They have a huge impact on a baby's health and well-being. Let's start with SIDs.
All right.
Every parent's worst fear.
Definitely keeps parents up at night.
Yeah.
What's the latest on SIDs, how to reduce the risk?
One of the most significant discoveries is the link between sleeping position and cystites.
Oh, okay.
The Back to Sleep campaign
Yeah, I've heard of that.
encourages parents to place babies on their backs for sleep,
Right.
has drastically reduced the incidence of SIDs.
Amazing how something so simple can have such a huge impact.
It is.
It really shows the power of research,
Yeah,
public health initiatives.
absolutely. Speaking of which, let's talk about immunizations.
Okay. Immunizations, one of the most effective public health interventions we have,
Yeah.
saved countless lives,
That's right.
prevented so much suffering. But I know there's been a lot of controversy surrounding vaccines.
Yeah.
What's the truth? What do parents need to know?
Well, first and foremost, vaccines are incredibly safe.
Okay.
The vast majority of children have no serious side effects. And those claims that vaccines cause autism, debunked.
Good to hear that.
There's no link.
So why are vaccines so important?
Because they protect children from serious, potentially deadly diseases.
Okay.
Measles, mumps, rubella, polio, whooping cough.
Right.
These diseases were once common, caused widespread illness, even death.
Wow.
Thanks to vaccination, they're now rare
Yeah.
in many parts of the world. But if vaccination rates drop,
Yeah.
these diseases can make a comeback.
So it's not just about protecting individual children.
Right.
It's about the entire community.
That's the concept of herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
When a high percentage of the population is immunized, it creates a shield of protection.
Okay.
Makes it harder for diseases to spread.
Yeah.
Protecting those who can't be vaccinated or who have weakened immune systems.
It's like a safety net for the most vulnerable.
Exactly.
Now let's switch gears.
Okay.
Talk about another crucial aspect of infant health, nutrition.
All right. And when we talk about infant nutrition,
Uh-huh.
there's one clear champion.
I bet I know what you're going to say.
What's that?
Breast milk.
You got it.
Yeah.
Breast milk, nature's perfect food for babies.
I've heard so much about the benefits. What makes it so special?
Well, it contains just the right balance of nutrients,
Okay.
antibodies, other substances that support healthy growth.
Sure.
The World Health Organization recommends exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months
Oh, wow.
because it offers so many benefits that formula just can't replicate.
So it's not just calories and nutrients. It's like a superpower elixir.
You could say that it protects them from infections,
Right.
reduces allergies, promotes cognitive development.
Wow.
Plus, it's free and always available.
It's true.
The composition even changes over time to meet the baby's evolving needs.
It's like a magic potion.
It kind of is.
Adapts to each baby.
Yeah. But I know there are situations where breastfeeding isn't possible
Right.
or recommended.
Yeah.
There are medical conditions.
Yeah.
Some others choose not to for personal reasons.
Right.
You need to respect those choices
Absolutely.
and circumstances. Fortunately, we have formulas that are a safe alternative
Okay.
when breastfeeding isn't an option.
Right. So while breast milk is the gold standard,
It is.
it's not the only way to nourish a baby.
Oh.
But let's talk about the other side of that coin, malnutrition.
Yeah. A harsh reality
It is.
for far too many
But
children.
it's a heartbreaking issue,
It is.
and one that can have devastating consequences.
Absolutely.
What are the different forms of malnutrition?
Well, one of the most common is protein-calorie malnutrition.
Okay.
When a child isn't getting enough calories or protein,
Right.
can lead to weight loss, stunted growth, and in severe cases,
Yeah.
even death. There are also specific conditions like marasmus
Rasmus.
and kwashiorkor.
Right. Kwashiorkor. Those sound serious.
They are.
What are the differences?
Marasmus is severe wasting.
Okay.
Usually occurs in infants who aren't getting enough food of any kind. They look emaciated, very little body fat.
Oh, wow.
Kwashiorkor.
Yeah.
That develops when children aren't getting enough protein, even if they are getting calories.
Okay.
It's characterized by swelling, particularly in the abdomen,
Okay.
skin lesions.
It's hard to even imagine children suffering from these conditions.
It is. And the long-term effects of malnutrition can be devastating.
Yeah.
It impacts cognitive development, their immune system, overall health for years to come.
So preventing malnutrition should be a top priority.
Absolutely.
But how do we address such a complex problem?
There are a number of effective interventions like promoting breastfeeding,
Right.
providing supplements,
Right.
addressing food insecurity at a community level.
Right.
It's multifaceted,
Okay.
requires a multifaceted approach.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play
We do.
in making sure all children have the nutrition they need to thrive. But we need to move on to another crucial area of development,
Okay.
those amazing motor skills
Yeah.
that allow babies to explore and interact with their world. We touched on the basics,
Right.
but let's delve deeper into this world of gross and fine motor skills.
I'm ready. Remind me, what's the distinction again?
From what I remember, gross motor skills are the big movements like walking, running, jumping.
Yeah, that's right.
Fine motor skills are the smaller, precise movements, like using those tiny fingers to pick up a Cheerio, scribbling with a crayon.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Gross motor skills, moving your whole body through space. Fine motor skills, controlling those small muscles in your hands and fingers.
Right, right. Both essential for a baby's development.
They are.
I remember those early attempts at using a spoon.
Oh, yeah.
More food ended up on faces and clothes than in mouths.
It's a classic. But those early fumbles, they're actually really important.
Well,
They provide valuable sensory feedback. That helps babies refine those movements.
okay.
Yeah.
So encourage those messy explorations
Absolutely.
and don't sweat the small stuff.
It's all part of learning.
It's all part of their journey towards mastery.
Mhm.
Speaking of journeys,
Yeah.
remember how we talked about cultural differences influencing motor development?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How some cultures encourage early sitting, standing,
Right.
while others prioritize carrying babies for longer periods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those cultural practices can really impact how and when babies achieve certain milestones. And there's that fascinating sticky mittens experiment
Oh, right, right.
where researchers gave babies mittens with Velcro
Yeah, I remember that.
so they could grab objects earlier than they normally would.
Yeah. What did they find?
The babies who used the sticky mittens showed an increased interest in objects
Oh, wow.
and even reached for them more after the experiment was over.
That's interesting.
It suggests that giving babies early opportunities to interact with their environment
Yeah.
can actually boost their development.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. It's like those early experiences
Mm.
are shaping not just motor skills,
Right.
but also their curiosity
Yeah.
and desire to explore.
Absolutely. It highlights how those early months are just this period of incredible learning and
Fine.
adaptation.
But we need to move on to another crucial area of development,
Okay.
the social and emotional realm.
Right.
How do babies start to connect with the world around them,
Yeah.
form those all-important early bonds?
Well, it all starts with those early interactions between babies and their caregivers.
Right.
Right from birth, babies are wired to connect. They respond to voices, faces, touch,
Yeah.
quickly learn to distinguish familiar caregivers from strangers.
It's amazing how quickly they pick up on those differences.
It is.
Those first smiles are pure magic.
They are, and those smiles, they're not just adorable.
Right.
They're incredibly important signals of social engagement.
Right.
They show that babies are starting to understand,
Yeah.
respond to social cues.
So even in those first few months,
But-
they're laying the foundation for future relationships.
Absolutely. As they get older, their interactions become more intentional.
Okay.
They initiate games like peekaboo,
Yeah, peekaboo.
reach out to be picked up,
Yeah.
even show early signs of empathy.
Empathy in babies. That's incredible. What does that look like?
You might see a baby crying when they hear another baby cry,
Oh, wow.
or try to comfort a caregiver who's upset.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's like they're tuning into those emotions around them,
Yeah.
responding with care and concern.
Powerful examples. It sounds like those early experiences of empathy,
Yeah.
connection play a key role in shaping a child's emotional intelligence, social skills
Right.
later on.
They're learning about emotions, relationships, the importance of connection.
And it all starts in those early interactions with caregivers.
It does.
So providing a loving, responsive, nurturing environment is key. But I know there's been a lot of talk about attachment styles.
Right.
Can you explain that a bit? And how they impact a child's future relationships?
Attachment theory is a fascinating area of research,
It is.
exploring those different patterns of bonding
Yeah.
between babies and caregivers.
Okay.
Yeah,
And there are different types of attachment styles.
that's right. The most common and healthy is called secure attachment.
Okay, secure attachment.
This is when a baby feels confident that their caregiver will be there for them.
Right.
They use the caregiver as a secure base to explore the world,
Makes sense.
and then return for comfort when they're stressed or afraid.
So a securely attached baby feels safe, loved, protected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this secure attachment, it provides a solid foundation for their development.
Okay.
They learn to trust others, regulate their emotions, build healthy relationships.
But what about those other attachment styles?
Right. There are also insecure attachment styles. These can develop when caregivers are inconsistent, unresponsive, or neglectful.
Okay.
They include insecure avoidant attachment, where babies seem emotionally distant. Insecure resistant, where babies are clingy and anxious,
Right.
even when their caregiver's there.
Wow.
And then there's disorganized attachment, often associated with trauma or abuse.
And these insecure attachment styles can have negative consequences for a child's development.
Unfortunately, yes. Children with insecure attachment styles may have trouble regulating emotions, forming healthy relationships, trusting others.
Oh, yeah.
They may also be more prone to anxiety, depression, behavioral problems later on.
That's really concerning.
It is. So early intervention is key
Yeah.
to promote secure attachment and prevent those negative outcomes.
So what can parents and caregivers do to foster secure attachment?
Responsiveness is key. Pay attention to those cues and respond to their needs promptly and consistently.
Okay.
Create a warm, loving, and predictable environment where they feel safe and secure.
Right.
Skin-to-skin contact, eye contact, lots of cuddles, that can go a long way.
So it's about creating that haven of love and security
Yeah.
where babies feel understood, valued, cherished. But even if a child develops an insecure attachment style, it's not a life sentence, right?
No, not at all. With the right support
Yeah.
interventions,
Yeah.
children can develop more secure and healthy patterns of relating. Therapy, parenting classes, supportive relationships, all those things can make a difference.
So it's a reminder that those early experiences are powerful, but they don't have to define a child's entire life.
That's right. There's always hope for change and growth. Really makes you appreciate how complex those first 2 years are. It's not just the cute milestones like rolling over, taking those first steps.
Right.
It's about building the foundation
Yeah.
for a child's future, physically, emotionally.
It's like we've been given this glimpse into the workings of a tiny human,
Yeah.
understanding how those early experiences shape who they become. And speaking of experiences,
Right.
we can't forget the role of culture in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. Cultural practices have a huge impact
Yeah,
on a baby's development.
big time.
Think about how different cultures approach, like carrying, soothing babies.
Yeah.
In some cultures, they're constantly held close.
Right.
In others, they spend more time in cribs, playpens.
Yeah.
These variations can influence everything: motor development, attachment styles.
It's the global tapestry of parenting,
Yeah,
each culture adding its own unique colors and patterns.
it's true. There's no one right way to raise a baby.
No, definitely not. But let's broaden our perspective a bit.
Okay.
Do these first 2 years really have a lasting impact
Yeah,
on a child's life?
that's a big question.
It is.
It's like asking, do the early chapters of a book
Yeah.
matter for the rest of the story?
Exactly. I have a feeling they do, but to what extent?
While we want to avoid deterministic thinking, that those first 2 years dictate everything,
Right.
there's no doubt they have a profound and enduring influence.
Yeah.
Think about it. During those early years,
Yeah.
the brain's growing so rapidly.
Like a supercomputer processing information, making connections at warp speed.
And those connections formed early on
Yeah.
create the neural architecture for a lifetime of learning, emotional regulation, social interactions.
Okay.
It's not a crystal ball,
Right.
but it's a foundational chapter in their story.
So those early experiences are literally shaping the physical structure of the brain.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
It is.
It highlights the importance of giving those little brains all the right ingredients.
Yeah.
We're talking singing, reading, playing, giving lots of love, responding sensitively, all that,
All of that.
all those little things.
They have a huge impact
Yeah.
on how their brains are wired.
It really puts the pressure on knowing that every cuddle, every song, every interaction is shaping those little brains.
It's true. But it's also an incredible privilege.
It really is.
It reminds us that even the smallest gestures of love and care can have a big impact.
Yeah. But let's talk about the different approaches to nurturing a child's development. Some advocate for a more structured approach, lots of educational toys, activities,
Right.
while others emphasize free play and exploration. What are your thoughts?
It's like the age-old debate, tiger mom versus free-range parenting.
Right. Is there a right answer?
I don't think it's about choosing one over the other. I
Right.
think it's about finding a balance
Yeah.
between structure and freedom.
So not picking sides, but finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. Children need both to thrive. Structure provides security, predictability.
Right. Important in those early years.
Especially then. Think about routines, limits, consistent expectations.
Yeah.
Help children feel safe, understand boundaries.
It's like those structures create a safe container
Yeah.
to explore within. But what about freedom?
Freedom allows children to explore their interests,
Right.
experiment, take risks,
Yeah.
develop their own unique sense of self.
Okay.
Think about unstructured playtime.
Right.
They can follow their curiosity, make choices, engage in imaginative play.
So we're not raising obedient robots.
No.
We're raising creative, curious,
Independent thinkers.
independent thinkers. I like that.
And that balance between structure and freedom, it's going to shift and evolve
Right.
as children grow.
Of course.
They can handle more freedom,
Yeah.
more responsibility.
So it's like we're their dance partners,
Yeah.
guiding them, supporting them, giving them space to move freely as they learn.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It highlights the collaborative nature of child development.
Yeah.
It's not just parents dictating
No.
what children learn and do.
It's about working together, respecting their individuality, nurturing their curiosity.
Speaking of understanding how children learn and grow, I know there are all these different theories, approaches in the field of child development.
Oh, yeah. It's a rich and fascinating field. One of the most influential is Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development.
Piaget.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember studying his stages of development.
Yeah.
Can you give us a refresher?
Piaget proposed that children go through these distinct stages, each with unique ways of thinking and understanding the world.
Right.
He believed that children are active learners.
Not just passively soaking it all in.
No, they're constructing knowledge through interactions
Okay.
with their environment.
So actively engaging, experimenting, making sense of things.
Exactly.
Hmm.
His stages: sensoromotor, pre-operational, concrete operational, formal operational.
Right.
describe those different ways of thinking at different ages.
Okay.
The sensorimotor stage, from birth to about 2, that's where babies are learning through their senses and actions.
That's the stage we're focused on. So
Yeah.
all those sensory explorations, motor experiments, they're laying the foundation.
Exactly. And as they move through the other stages,
Yeah.
they develop more sophisticated ways of thinking, reasoning, problem solving.
Okay.
But Piaget's not the only theory out there.
Right.
Another influential one is Lev Vygotsky's sociocultural theory,
Okay.
emphasizing the role of social interaction and culture in learning.
Vygotsky, he's the one who talked about the zone of proximal development.
Right. Yes, that space where children can learn with help from someone more knowledgeable.
Exactly.
He believed children learn best when interacting with those more knowledgeable others.
Right. Parents, teachers, peers.
Exactly. Those who can scaffold their learning, guide them to new levels.
So learning is not just solitary, it's social, collaborative.
That's right. His ideas have had a huge impact on education,
I can see that.
highlighting collaboration, mentorship, creating environments that support interaction, guided exploration.
Makes sense that learning is more effective when we're working together, sharing ideas, building on each other's knowledge.
It really is. And in recent decades, there's been a growing interest in neuroscience,
Oh, yeah.
its implications for education. We're learning so much about how the brain learns.
So we're connecting the dots between the brain and the classroom.
Exactly. And these insights are helping us design learning environments, teaching practices that are more brain-friendly.
It's like we're finally getting the instruction manual for the human brain.
Kind of. But what about when things don't go according to plan?
Right. What about those children who face challenges with development?
Important question. While most children develop within a typical range,
Yeah.
some experience delays or difficulties
Okay.
in certain areas. These challenges, they can be mild or more severe.
Yeah.
They can affect different aspects like language, motor skills, social interactions, cognitive abilities.
So things like speech delays, problems with coordination, social skills, learning disabilities.
Exactly. And it's important to remember,
Yeah.
these challenges aren't a reflection of a child's worth or potential.
Absolutely.
They're simply differences in how a child learns and develops.
So instead of deficits, we should see them as variations in the human experience.
Precisely. And just like any other human variation,
Right.
these differences should be respected and celebrated.
For sure. But I imagine it can also be incredibly stressful and frustrating
Oh,
for
absolutely.
both the children and their families.
Yeah, it's crucial to provide support, resources for families navigating these difficulties.
Absolutely.
Early intervention is key. There are effective therapies, interventions that
Mhm.
can help children overcome these challenges and reach their potential.
So there's hope
Yeah.
even when challenges arise. With the right support, children can make progress, they can thrive. It's reassuring to know that help is available.
It is. And remember, every child is unique, develops at their own pace.
Right.
There's no one size fits all, and what works for one child might not work for another.
So being patient, observant, responsive to each child's needs,
Yeah,
celebrating their strengths along the way.
absolutely. But let's shift gears again.
Okay.
Talk about how these early experiences shape our understanding of ourselves,
Okay.
our place in the world.
Yeah.
Do those early bonds, those experiences, influence our sense of identity,
Right.
belonging?
It's like asking, how do we become who we are?
Yeah, how do we develop that sense of self?
Right.
Those early bonds we form,
Yeah.
caregivers, they play a crucial role.
Makes sense.
They provide a mirror through which we see ourselves. If those relationships are loving, responsive, nurturing,
Yeah.
we're more likely to develop a positive sense of self,
That.
believing we're worthy of love, care, attention.
So those early experiences create a blueprint
They do.
for how we view ourselves,
Right.
our relationships with others.
Yeah.
It's like setting the foundation for self-esteem,
Exactly. Healthy relations.
healthy relationships throughout life.
And this sense of self
Yeah.
it can have a ripple effect
Okay.
on our confidence, resilience, ability to connect
It makes sense.
throughout our lives.
But what happens when those early relationships aren't so positive?
Right.
When there's neglect, abuse, inconsistency?
Yeah. Unfortunately, those negative experiences can have a lasting impact.
Right.
Children facing early adversity may develop a negative view of themselves,
Oh, wow.
believing they're unlovable, unworthy, incapable.
That's so sad.
It is.
Yeah.
And these beliefs can be deeply ingrained,
Right.
affect their relationships, their self-worth.
It's heartbreaking to think about the long-term effects of those early wounds.
It is. But it's also essential to remember
Yeah.
that even in the face of adversity, there's hope. for
There's,
healing and growth.
yeah,
With the right support, therapy, loving relationships, supportive communities,
right.
children can overcome these challenges and develop a more positive,
Okay.
resilient sense of self.
It's a reminder that while those early experiences are powerful,
They are.
they don't have to define us. We have the power to rewrite those early scripts,
Absolutely.
create a new narrative for ourselves.
And that's where the power of relationships really comes in.
Right.
Throughout life, we continue to shape and reshape our sense of self
Yeah.
through our interactions with others. Surrounding ourselves with supportive, loving, affirming people
Yeah.
can be a powerful antidote to those early wounds.
It's like those positive relationships can help us heal, rewrite those negative beliefs.
Exactly. It highlights how interconnected we all are. Our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others.
Speaking of different theories about how our sense of self develops,
Right.
I know Erickson's theory is a classic.
Oh, yeah. Erickson's theory outlines 8 stages of development,
Yeah, I vaguely remember learning about them.
span the entire lifespan. He believed each stage presents a unique challenge, a crisis,
Right,
that we need to navigate.
to move on.
Yeah, to move on to the next stage.
I vaguely remember those 8 stages, but it's all a bit jumbled now.
Sure?
Can you refresh my memory?
Okay, the first stage, trust versus mistrust,
Okay.
happens during infancy.
Right.
Babies are learning if they can trust their caregivers
Yeah.
to meet their needs. If their needs are met consistently,
Yeah.
they develop a sense of trust in the world. If not, they may develop mistrust, making it harder to form healthy relationships later.
So those early experiences are shaping our beliefs about whether the world is safe and trustworthy.
Exactly. And as we move through those other stages, we face new challenges. Autonomy versus shame and doubt.
Right.
Initiative versus guilt. Industry versus inferiority.
Yeah.
These are about developing competence, independence, purpose.
So it's about that balance between feeling capable and independent,
Yeah,
but also connected and supported.
exactly. And Erickson's theory reminds us
Yeah.
development's a lifelong process. We're constantly evolving, adapting.
It's true. But let's shift gears, talk about another incredible area,
Yeah.
language development.
Oh, fascinating.
It's amazing how babies go from those early coos and babbles
Yeah.
to speaking in full sentences
It is remarkable. It's like they're little linguistic sponges,
Yeah.
soaking it up.
at an incredible pace.
They are incredibly attuned to language from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They're listening to the sounds,
Yeah.
picking up patterns, experimenting with their own sounds.
I remember those early coos and gurgles.
Yeah,
Like they're
maybe.
testing out their vocal cords,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to make those sounds.
Exactly. And as they get older, yeah,
The sounds become more distinct, intentional.
right.
Then comes babbling, stringing together those syllables.
Ba 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 da da da.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then those first words, mama, da-da, ball.
It's magical.
It is like they're unlocking the code
Right.
to communication.
Those first words usually emerge around their first birthday.
Yeah, give or take a few months.
Right.
And once they have a few words,
Yeah.
boom, language development explodes.
They start combining words.
Right. Asking questions, expressing themselves.
It's like they realize the power of language
Yes.
to connect and make things happen.
It's amazing to see. But how does it all happen?
I know there are different theories about language development.
Yeah.
I remember learning about Noam Chomsky.
Oh, yeah.
Innate language abilities.
He's a key figure in linguistics.
Mm.
He argued that humans are born with an innate capacity for language.
So we're not just blank slates.
No.
We have a blueprint for understanding language.
That's the idea. He called it the language acquisition device, or LAD.
This innate ability allows children to learn the rules, even without explicit instruction.
Wow. And this nativist perspective is supported by research,
It is.
showing that children all over the world acquire language in similar stages.
That's right, despite all those differences in their environments.
Wow. But Chomsky's theory has also been challenged
It has
by theories that emphasize social interaction experience.
Right, the interactionist theories
Yeah.
argue that language develops through those social interactions.
Right.
Kids learn by observing, imitating the language around them,
Yeah.
picking up words, phrases, structures from their caregivers.
It's like a dance between nature and nurture.
It is.
We're born with the potential,
Yeah.
but that potential is shaped by interactions.
Beautiful interplay between those innate abilities
Yeah.
and the richness of our social world.
It's fascinating. But what can parents and caregivers actually do to support language development?
Oh, great question.
Are there any strategies that can help?
One of the simplest and most effective Just talk to your baby.
Just talk to them.
Talk about your day, what you're doing, their interests.
Okay.
The more language they hear,
Yeah.
the more opportunities they have to learn.
So no need to dumb it down.
No, engage them in real conversations.
Right, even if they can't fully participate yet.
Right, exactly.
And don't underestimate reading aloud.
Oh, so important. Even if they don't understand the words, they're absorbing the sounds, the rhythms, the patterns.
It creates such a special connection.
It does.
Like sharing a world of stories and possibility.
Absolutely. And as they get older,
Yeah.
you can ask questions about the stories,
Yeah.
encourage them to retell them or make up their own.
Yeah.
It's all about fostering that love of language,
Yeah.
the joy of exploring it.
So not just mechanics, but a passion for words, stories, self-expression.
Exactly. But what if a child seems to be struggling with language?
Right. Every child develops differently.
Yeah.
But when is it time to seek professional help?
If you notice your child is significantly behind their peers
Oh.
or having difficulty understanding, expressing themselves,
Yeah.
it's important to consult with a professional.
Talk to their pediatrician, a speech-language pathologist.
Exactly. Early intervention is crucial,
Yeah.
and there are so many effective therapies and interventions out there.
Right. But even if a child isn't struggling,
Yeah,
it's important to celebrate every milestone,
absolutely.
every step in their language journey.
Every new word, phrase, attempt at communication.
It's all a cause for celebration.
It is. It reminds us of the incredible power of the human brain to learn, adapt, create.
Okay. But let's move on to another fascinating realm of development, cognitive skills.
All right.
We've talked a lot about how babies learn and grow,
We have.
but how does their thinking actually evolve? What are the key cognitive leaps they're making?
Great question. It's truly remarkable, and it all starts with those early sensory and motor experiences.
Okay.
As babies explore their world through their senses, their movements, they're building that foundation for cognitive growth.
So every time they reach for a toy, put something in their mouth, look at a face, it all contributes to their understanding of how the world works.
It does. Those early experiences help them develop core concepts.
Right.
Like object permanence.
Object permanence. Remind me what that is again.
Understanding that things continue to exist even when you can't see them.
Oh, right. Like playing peekaboo.
Exactly.
It's not just a silly game.
No.
It's helping them grasp this fundamental concept about the world.
It's a big cognitive leap to realize you haven't disappeared, even when they can't see you. It's a building block for other cognitive skills like memory, problem solving.
So those early games are actually mini lessons in physics and cognitive development.
That's a great way to put it. And as they get older,
Yeah.
they develop other important skills,
Okay.
like working memory, the ability to hold information in their mind, manipulate it,
Right.
attention, the ability to focus.
Now, attention can be a challenge for little ones. I know that from experience.
It can be. Those attention spans can be pretty short.
Yeah.
But even those fleeting moments of focus are important.
Okay.
With time, practice, those attention spans will increase.
So we can encourage those moments
Yeah,
through play, interaction, engaging learning environments.
absolutely. And as their cognitive skills blossom,
Yeah?
they can engage in more complex, challenging activities.
Right.
Problem solving, reasoning, creative thinking.
Like their minds are transforming into these powerful tools
They are.
for exploration, discovery, learning.
And the more opportunities they have to use those tools,
Yeah.
the more they'll grow and develop.
I know there are different ways to assess and measure cognitive development.
Right.
We hear a lot about IQ tests.
Yeah, IQ tests are one of the most widely used.
Yeah.
They measure things like verbal reasoning, spatial reasoning, working memory.
But I also know they've been criticized
Yeah.
for being culturally biased.
Right, and not capturing the full complexity of intelligence.
Exactly.
They can be helpful
Yeah.
to identify children who might need extra support.
Right.
But they have limitations.
Yeah.
They don't capture everything, and they can be influenced by cultural background, socioeconomic factors.
So it's important to view those scores in context,
Absolutely.
not the be-all, end-all.
Intelligence is complex, multifaceted.
It is.
It can't be summed up in one number. There are other ways to assess, like observing their play, listening to their conversations,
Right.
engaging them in problem solving.
So looking at the whole child, not just a test score.
Exactly.
Recognizing intelligence comes in many forms.
Absolutely. But let's tackle a topic that's often on parents' minds,
Okay.
technology.
It's everywhere.
It is.
It's raising questions
Yeah.
about its impact on development.
For sure.
The digital age is impacting everything,
Yeah,
including how our children learn and grow.
it's a complex issue.
What are your thoughts on technology in young children?
Well, it can be a valuable tool for learning,
Okay.
but we need to use it intentionally, mindfully.
So not banning screens altogether,
No.
but finding a healthy balance, making
Yes.
sure technology enhances their lives, not dominates them.
Exactly. We need to think about the content they're consuming,
Right.
the amount of time.
Yeah.
Make sure those digital experiences aren't displacing things like play, physical activity, face-to-face interaction.
So moderation is key. What are some of the potential benefits?
Well, technology can provide access to information, educational resources,
All right.
foster creativity, problem-solving skills, even connect them with people from different cultures.
Yeah.
It can be powerful for learning and exploration.
It's like opening up a world of possibilities.
It is, but what about the potential downsides?
Yeah. What should parents be wary of?
Excessive screen time
Right.
that can interfere with sleep, physical activity,
Right.
those face-to-face interactions that are so important.
So moderation is key.
It is. We need to be informed and engaged.
As parents, caregivers,
Yeah.
we need to make conscious choices about how and when technology is used.
Absolutely. It's like we're pioneers
Yeah.
in this new digital landscape.
Figuring out how to navigate.
Exactly, making the most of it
Yeah,
while being mindful of the risks.
it's true. And as technology continues to evolve,
Yeah.
we need to stay informed, adapt our approach.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that we're all learning and evolving,
We are.
right alongside our children. As we wrap up our deep dive into infant development,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the bigger picture.
Okay.
What have we learned
Yeah.
about how children learn and grow?
So much.
How can we apply those insights
Right.
to create a better world for children?
One of the most profound lessons is that children are active agents in their development.
Not just passive recipients.
No, they're curious explorers, constantly trying to understand the world.
So we need to nurture that curiosity, creativity, love of learning, create environments that encourage them to explore, experiment, make discoveries.
Yeah, and we need to recognize that every child is unique.
Absolutely.
Their own strength, challenges, ways of learning.
So embrace diversity, celebrate differences,
Exactly.
provide individualized support.
Tailored to their needs. It's about creating a world where all children feel safe, loved, valued, empowered to reach their potential.
It's about building a world where every child has the opportunity to thrive.
Beautifully said. And another crucial lesson, relationships are at the heart of it all.
They are.
Those early bonds with caregivers, family, educators, the community
Right.
have a profound impact.
So not just physical needs, but nurturing their hearts and souls.
Exactly. Creating loving connections,
Right.
foster emotional, social well-being.
And building strong communities where they feel a sense of belonging.
Yes.
Support.
Communities where they can learn, grow, and thrive.
Exactly. And a final takeaway.
Yeah.
Development is a lifelong journey.
It is. We never stop learning, growing, evolving.
So embrace that journey. Be open to new experiences.
Yes.
Continually seek to understand ourselves, the world around us.
Absolutely. And recognize we're all interconnected.
Yes.
Our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others.
I love that perspective.
Me too.
It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
We are.
We have a responsibility to create a world where all children have the opportunity to thrive.
That's a perfect way to wrap up.
It is. But before we go, I want to thank you
Oh, you're welcome.
for sharing your incredible knowledge.
Thank you.
You've given us so much to think about,
I appreciate that.
so many valuable insights to apply in our own lives.
It's been a pleasure.
It really has. And I know our listeners feeling equally inspired and informed.
I hope so.
Wow, we've covered so much in this deep dive, from those first moments of life to like the edge of toddlerhood. It's amazing how much happens in just 2 years.
It really is. Shows the incredible capacity for growth and learning packed into those tiny brains. And it really underscores how important it is to create environments that support that development.
It feels like we've gained a whole new perspective on those everyday interactions with babies. We're not just changing diapers, singing lullabies.
Right.
We're shaping their brains, laying the foundation for their future.
Exactly. And it's not just the big gestures.
Yeah.
It's those small, consistent moments of love, responsiveness, engagement. Those make a difference.
Speaking of making a difference, if we had to sum up all this knowledge into a few key takeaways for our listener,
Okay.
what would they be?
I think the most crucial takeaway is simply this. Early experiences matter.
They do.
The environments we create for babies, the relationships we nurture, the way we interact, it all has a lasting impact.
It's like we're master gardeners,
Mm.
tending to these delicate seedlings, providing the right soil, sunlight, nourishment to help them flourish.
That's a beautiful analogy. And remember, development is holistic. It's
Yeah.
not just physical growth or cognitive skills. It's about nurturing the whole child. Physically, emotionally, socially, cognitively.
We need to create environments that support all those areas.
Absolutely.
Safe, stimulating, nurturing, responsive to their needs.
Exactly. And another key takeaway, every child is unique.
They are.
They develop at their own pace, have their own strengths and challenges,
Right.
and bring their own perspectives to the world.
Comparison is the thief of joy, right?
It is.
We need to celebrate those differences,
Absolutely.
honor their individuality, offer support tailored to their needs.
No cookie-cutter approaches when it comes to child development.
Right.
And
Yeah.
ultimately, the most powerful ingredients for healthy development.
Yeah.
Love, respect, responsiveness, and a belief in the infinite potential of every child.
I love that. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape a brighter future,
We do.
one loving interaction at a time.
It's been a joy sharing this journey with you.
Likewise.
I hope our deep dive sparked a lifelong curiosity about these amazing little beings.
It definitely has for me, and I know our listeners feeling equally inspired and informed. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of infant development. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep celebrating the journey of childhood.